What's up? How are you guys doing?
Hey
It is
yo.
it's the Hoof Podcast coming at you again for another week, another episode. How you guys holding up? I mean, it's pre-free agency. You got people signing up franchise tags and people getting released. It's crazy out there right now. We all kind of knew that it was going to get a little bit ugly, but we're kind of managing. We're still here. We're going to talk about some offensive line stuff tonight. It's going to be a great show. So we're definitely pumped that you guys are joining us. You have my guy Anthony up top. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm watching just like you are. All the action going on. It's finally getting busy. Today was an exciting day, the deadline for franchise tag and hearing everything that's going on. So, little bit at a time. Next week's going to be even bigger. It's building up, Stuff's happening. It's fun.
Yeah, and then my guy Eric with what was that, an Oakley hat, bro? Like a
man.
Oakley sailor hat you rocking down there?
The military,
Okay.
Throwback.
All right. Little Navy action.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How you doing, man? You doing all right?
Yeah, we're hanging in there. Looking forward to next week. Like Anthony said, there's a lot happening today, but there's also a lot not happening. Many players are going to hit free agency that I didn't anticipate.
Yeah, that's true. We should probably shed some light on that too. Also, on a quick side note, here in Denver, we're expecting a snowpocalypse this weekend. Now,
Yeah.
I know you guys, Eric, in New York. I know y'all had your little snow and it was crazy. It sounds like we could get up 12 to 24 inches out here. Well, I even seen somebody even said like it could get to like 3 to 4 feet. Now I'm like, okay, pump the brakes. But we're supposed to get a little bit of snow out here, man.
I always joke that, in New York State, if they say 40 inches, you might get 50. In Colorado, if they say 40 inches, you might get 4. So,
yeah, right.
It could go, but this is supposed to be, I've been in Denver since 2012, and this might be the biggest snowstorm they've had here since I've lived here. So almost 10 years. It's crazy. We'll see. Hopefully
it's weird because it was 60 degrees here in New York today.
It was 67 here today. Yeah. So, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about the winds are changing here in Denver.
Way to one up it.
Yeah.
Well, you let me have my 61, okay?
we'll let you have all that, man. We'll definitely let you have all that. But anyway, man, this is the Cover One Network. We've been bringing it to you all off season, and it's important that you guys stay locked in, stay tuned into what we got going on. Like I said, we have shows lined up, man, every day pretty much. If you can get your fix for Bills content and news and so forth, again, you see our handles. You can follow us on Twitter, but we really do want you to like, follow, subscribe, and share. Comment and share, man. Please do, because that's how we get better. That's how we better serve you as a community. And with that being said, I guess, we're going to get into this thing, man. We got, we always do. Before we even do anything, man, we got to give some shout outs, man. Joseph is, my guy Joseph, he says, what's up, Hoof? Really like that Morse took the team-friendly deal. It's all going to work out, man. McBean won't let us down.
Let's remember here. I laughed at this a lot today. Everybody's like, wow, Mitch Morse taking a team-friendly deal. Yes, he did. Like, don't get me wrong. He took the pay cut, but also don't get too twisted into he's a team-friendly deal. No, his people had to make that assessment as well, right? They said to themselves, hey, if they cut you and you go on the free agent market, you're not going to get $8 million because of your history, because of whatever. We don't think you can get that much. You're in a good situation here in Buffalo. It's a good idea to take that $2 million cut and just go forward. And they made that decision. It's not like he looked himself in the mirror and said, you want to be a Buffalo Bill, you want to help your team, let's give them $2 million back. No, it's still a business decision, and it's a good one for the team and for Mitch Morse. So it's a mutual thing for both of them.
Yeah, and you never know how that really goes down, the conversation that takes place. I mean, yeah, it looks like it took a team-friendly deal. I mean, we know Mitch Morse is a high-character guy. So, and from what we know of McDermott and Bean, they try to look after guys. So, we hope for the best, but they could have been like, yo, if you don't take this, like, we'll re-sign Feliciano, put him at center, and then you're just out looking for a job too.
Exactly.
And they're not going to come forward and say that.
I think they give him surf and turf. Hey, why don't you come down to the stadium? We're going to cook some steak and crab legs up for you. And when he gets there, they break the news. I think you got to lube him up a little bit. That's a lot of money just to give
man.
up.
It is
not for long, right? The NFL stands for not for long.
Yes,
that's true.
And, every dollar counts when you're playing in a league. If you want to maintain that lifestyle the rest of your life. So kudos to him for doing that for the team, but it's never easy.
Nah, it's not. We got Craig in the house, man. That's quite the variance, he says. And I love the Josh Allen alternate uniform they have there. I did do a tweet about that exact picture today.
I love that outfit.
Those uniforms are pretty dope, man.
The 90s, the 90s colors. That's my favorite Bills uniform.
Yeah. We got PJ in the house. That's my guy. Apex 00, man. How you doing, man? Thank you for watching the show. I don't know if this is your first time, but this is the first time you've definitely commented. So thank you for tuning in. And people are commenting on that fresh cut, Anthony. You know?
Finally got out of the house with the baby,
Yeah. Lone Wolf, man, what's up? So tonight's show, what we want to do, we want to focus on the offensive line. We have a few things that we're going to get into prior to that, but when we go over what the Bills currently have on the offensive line, and then you look at the offseason as a whole, you're gonna be like, wow. Okay. So anyway, but again, we do our show a little bit differently. We have topics that I'm gonna bring up and our guys are gonna comment on. And for you that are watching, by all means, please feel free to comment. And we even have some Facebook listeners as well. Kenneth Vera, man, what's going on, man? How you doing, bro? So yeah, if you're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, man, be sure to follow, like, and subscribe. So without further ado, fellas, let's get this on. All right, so we're going to do what's popping. We're just going to dibble and dabble around the league tonight. I have a few topics that we're going to bring up and kind of go over. So the first one, Dak Prescott signs a mega deal with the Cowboys, 4 years, $160 million. I believe that is $123 million guaranteed. He's going to get $75 million in year one. So if you go back to yesterday and you look at Dak Prescott's brother, you see Dak Prescott and his brother kind of embracing. Dak is obviously crying. This is a guy, he betted on himself, and he had a horrific injury, bet on himself, and he won. So that's really cool to see somebody actually F the man, if you will, and get what he's due, or what he feels like he's due. He bet on himself and he won. So was it the right move? That's the question of the night. So Eric, we'll start with you. Anthony, we'll end with you.
So is it the right move for the Cowboys? I'd say yes, because who else are you going to get? I mean, Dak, I think, has played above the standard, and I think he deserves all this money. It's a shame that he couldn't finish the season last year because the division was wide open, and I think they were the team to beat. But kudos to Dak's agent and people behind the scenes on this, because what did they do? They dragged it out, right? They dragged negotiations out until the Pat Mahomes deal was done, and that probably gave him the extra money that, like I said, he deserves. But, good strategy by them, well executed.
Yeah, I definitely think this is the right move for Dak. As you said, Sterling, certainly betting on himself, getting that guaranteed money, it was the most guaranteed money in any contract, $67 million or something like that. So it was up there with absolutely guaranteed money, which is awesome. And he's, the Cowboys had to stick to their quarterback. Any NFL team, when you have a guy that is your franchise quarterback, you have to keep him. You can't walk away from that situation and expect to have it just as good on the other side. How long did it take the Bills to find their franchise guy, right? And speaking of, the biggest thing for me about this Dak Prescott deal is that it sets the bar for Josh Allen. No matter how many people think we're going to get away with paying Josh Allen $30 million or less a year, that ain't happening. This is now the market for a quarterback. And I think this is actually a perfect parallel to Josh Allen. I tweeted about it earlier today that if he got, 40 something million a year, that's what we're going to have to give Josh Allen. Either more years, because Dak's was 4 years, so give him 5 years, $40 million. That's my ideal contract for Josh Allen. And I can thank Dak Prescott for pretty much nailing where the market is right now.
Yeah, and our guy Greg down here, he's our cap guy. He's our numbers guy here at Cover One. Does a freaking fantastic job. But if you haven't followed Greg on Twitter, you must, because he is a must follow. He's our guy, man. He says pay that man his money. Absolutely,
get it to him.
You pay that man his money. And you know what? The sad thing is, it shouldn't have taken this long. It shouldn't have taken Jerry Jones this long to pay Dak Prescott. Now you could say, I think Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback in the league. He's probably in the 6 to 10 range, in my opinion. What took them so long? I mean, Dak Prescott's a good quarterback. The Cowboys draft 10th overall, so unless they were going to package some players or some big picks, they weren't going to get down to get one of the top 2 guys. I mean, it just wasn't going to happen. So, hey, Jerry Jones ponied up, paid that man, and so I guess when we look at Josh Allen, I guess it's going to look he's probably falls somewhere between the $45 and the $40 million.
Yes,
somewhere between there. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I do like that you have a baseline with Dak Prescott and you have a ceiling with Patrick Mahomes as far as contract structure goes. So we'll see how that works out. So maybe not re-sign Josh Allen this offseason, just because of everything that's going on, cap strap. I mean, they could make it work, but why don't you put that off till next season when you have a better idea what the salary cap is going to look like? We got some comments in here. Can't believe we're talking about a Bills player being paid in the region of $40 million a year. Hey, and you know what? That's hilarious that you say that, Reptile, because Pagula raised the damn season ticket prices. So they're trying to make that money up somehow, man. They got to. If
I have to pay for Josh Allen, I'll pay the extra money.
Yeah.
There you go. Give it to him, man. Just give it to him.
Look, I remember the cheap tickets back in the day and go and watch, Tyrod Taylor. It wasn't always fun. Yeah. This is way more fun now. I'll pay the extra money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Greg makes a really good point about leverage. He says only leverage advantage Dak had was that he played through his entire rookie deal and 2 franchise tags here, which is true. So it's not only how good the player is. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. Yeah. And that's I get, and Eric, this kind of goes to your point, how you talk about the structure and the leadership in the organization matters, right? And this is
100%.
It matters. It totally matters that you can trust your GM and your owner to take care of you. I mean, you got to have it.
Yeah, let's Dak Prescott is not Pat Mahomes, right? But this is just how the salary cap works. The market value works for these quarterbacks. There's just not enough of them in the world.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you said Dak played through 2 franchise tags. I mean, he waited it out and it benefited him, but the Cowboys really had no choice in the matter. So I gave all the credit to Dak's crew, his agent, and people behind the scenes for that. Because, look, if he's on a different team in a different situation, let's say the Eagles, could he be more similar to Carson Wentz?
Oh boy,
you know what I'm saying? Or one of the I think it was Joseph in the chat mentioned if the Cowboys had a top 5 pick, would they pass on Dak? I think they would. Because how often do you have a top 5 pick to get another rookie quarterback on a rookie deal?
And you're still taking that risk. Right. We don't know what Zach Wilson's going to be. We don't know what these other quarterbacks are going to be. Maybe Trevor Lawrence is a guarantee, but you're not going to get him unless you're the number 1 overall pick. So I still say you have your guy. You know what you have. You can't walk away from that. That's like the Bills saying, we got Josh Allen for 1 more year, maybe 2, and then, okay, we're going to roll the dice and draft again. No, we learned our lesson the hard way. You cannot rely on draft, no matter how high your pick is, no matter which quarterback ranking you pick. It's still a way bigger roll of the dice than going with the guy you know what he's capable of, even in Dak's case with the injury, coming off injury. Yeah. Season-ending injury, and he still got paid. Why? Because they know that offense looked a hell of a lot better with Dak in it than it did with Dak out of it. So, yeah, you got to pay them when they're there.
And there, you can do. I'll have a devil's advocate comment after this, but Greg makes a good point. He says 10 years, $400 million. Yeah. Sign me up. I mean, that would be great. Pagula, you gonna have to pony up, buddy. And he followed up with a super chat here. He says I got $10 towards Josh's deal. All right, so look,
show me the money.
If Bills Bills Mafia can raise money for a good cause, such as we might want to start donating dollars,
$17 at a time, folks.
A new stadium, and god dang Josh Allen's contract. Okay, so if you want to put your money towards something, it's like taking offering in church. Y'all might as well just send that shit and let's pray that they do the right thing. But you know what, Greg? I'll see you on that $10 Josh's deal. So if you hit that exactly right, you know what, Greg? Why don't you come up with like exact numbers year by year, and if it's close, I got your $10. You know what? I'll give you $20, Greg. I'll give you $20 for that, because that would be interesting to see what Josh's contract will be for sure. But for those of you, if you want to support Cover One and what we're doing here, you can always send us a super chat. We love it. It does help grow the brand and what we got going on because we do this out of the love of the game, out of the love of football. So when you super chat, we do comment at length or whatever you want, but that's what we do. So about that. So I think we're good on the Dak Prescott, and I'll put a couple more comments up there. But next is Trent Brown. Trent Brown, the former New England Patriot turned Oakland Raider. He turned heel. Well, he was already heel. You went from one evil to another evil, and then you went back to evil. So Trent Brown was traded to the Pats. We thought Trent Brown was being released. Maybe that's not necessarily the case, but he was traded to the Pats for a bag of Skittles and a Coke. So they just pretty much swap picks, and Trent Brown goes back to the Patriots. Maybe they can use Michael Onwenu, put him at tackle. They kind of cheated with him at tackle and all over the line last year. So maybe this will give him a spot that he can flourish in. I mean, he was a fantastic 6th-round rookie. Y'all know he's out in the Michigan, and that's my squad, so y'all already know. But I'm not here to toot their horn or anything. But Trent Brown, man, what do you guys think about that?
I think the Patriots are back to their old form with Trent Brown on the team. Just kidding, not really.
Oh, God. I was going to say, man.
I mean, what are you going to do? You brought him in to block who? What's your plan? I still don't know the plan. Obviously, bringing a guy like that in, they probably want to run the football, but he's going to have to block Mitch Trubisky or whoever takes over. And look, Brady's gone. It's not going to be the same for Trent Brown. And it's going to be fun to watch once again. Is this team really – did they have just a down year? Are they going to – does the system really work without Tom Brady, or is Tom Brady the system? I think that saga continues.
Yeah. Wait. Hold on. Before you even get to that, is this the real Joe Marino?
Joe Marino's tuning in, huh? Yeah, it's tough to tell. No picture, right?
I need to know if this is the real Joe Marino we have here. Locked On Bills, celebrity Twitter check mark and everything. If that's you, Joe, make sure you comment.
That's funny. He said,
you're not an imposter. Okay.
Joe was a penny cheap, Greg was a penny cheap, and Joe went $1 and a penny more than him. So yeah, there you go.
Greg is cheap. He might be cheap. He has to use all his monies for meat. That's what he does. He grills meats all the time, and that shit's expensive. So he's got a big family, so they got to eat. Right. So, this is the Greg fund. We need to, along with Pagulas, we need to go on and send Greg some dough so he can keep smoking meats and so forth. But if this is Joe Marino, I don't need to give this guy an introduction. We are going to have him on our show. But you talk about Bills content, an unbiased and honest Bills content. It's right there with Joe Marino. He's one of the best in the game. The Draft Network, you see a lot of mock drafts. Using that website and format. We all use it. It comes from those guys. So Joe, man, we really do appreciate what you do for Bill's community by far. Oh, he says it's real. He says, I don't know how to super chat, but I one up Greg. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Good work.
Absolutely.
Nice.
It's great work.
Well played.
Okay. So to your point about Trent Brown, go ahead.
Yeah. This is a deal that if you're on the Patriots side of it, you're desperate for offensive line. You need help. This is a guy who did well with you before. So you're willing to overpay for somebody who's coming off injury because you know him. He knows your system. He's succeeded there before. But like Eric said, who the heck is he blocking for?
Right.
Of all the positions you're going to address right now, I guess he's available and, you're comfortable with him. You know him. You want him. He was probably going to get cut, and then you could have probably signed him for less. I thought this offseason there were going to be basically no trades because if you're going to trade a guy, you're already telling us you don't want him and he's going to get cut for one reason or another. So why give up assets when I can just pay him when he's a free agent and probably get a better contract than they're under now? Otherwise, they wouldn't be in the conversation of getting cut for cap reasons. So, yeah, it's an interesting get. Is it going to help them long term? I don't think so. I don't know what they're doing. What if he's not healthy enough during the season? You're really putting all your eggs in that basket for whatever the contract was. I think it was 10 or 14, something like that. I forget which one this was. Were a lot of moves today, but yeah, still way too much money for me.
Yeah, well, I think it definitely helps New England. He knows the system. He knows the culture, what's going on. He knows what's expected of him going in, and he's a mauler in the run game. I mean, this is a great. I mean, look, I know we hate everything New England sneezes on, but it's a damn good move for them. Kudos to them, and they're losing. Joe Tooney is a free agent, man, and their starting center is a free. I mean, they got some holes, so. It's a good move for them. I can't hate too much. I can't hate too much on the Patriots right now. So we'll kind of go with that. We'll go with that. So this is shall we cash or trash? Are you guys ready for that? I got a few things for you. You guys ready for some cash or trash? You're gonna cue.
We're gonna do a little cash or trash. That's trash, bro.
I'm gonna go cash on that.
All right, this is cash or trash. Okay, cash or trash. Cash money. Okay, so Mel Kiper put Josh Allen as top 10 quarterbacks ever graded. Cash or trash, man?
Can I take that one? Oh, I got to take this one.
Cash or
All
trash.
right, now how many times do people accuse me of being a homer and
Every
being
day.
like all the time? And if we go back to last preseason, I would argue nobody was more correct about this season than I was coming into it, when people were laughing at me for saying we were going to win 12 games minimum and we were going to make it all the way to the AFC Championship game. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl and win it. Everybody was laughing, but now it's like, oh, maybe he knew what he was talking about.
But you're
this
wrong.
one for me. This one for me, I have to go trash. I'm sorry, I have to go trash here.
Whoa.
This is, I get it. Mel Kiper, don't get me wrong. Mel Kiper has the bragging rights to be able to say, I said Josh Allen was going to be good when nobody else did. I said Josh Allen was the best quarterback in his class when nobody else did. That's all true. And he is the expert among experts who's the most respected when it comes to draft analysis and has been doing this for the longest period of time, probably as long as most of us have been alive. That's crazy to think about. But, for him to say that and put Josh Allen in his top 10 ever graded quarterbacks, I mean, just looking at who Josh Allen was coming out of college, you could say he had the most talent, certainly arm strength, top 10 without a doubt, top 5, top 1, Brett Favre. I don't know. So it's like, in that case, you can make an argument. But when it comes to saying he's a top 10 quarterback ever in the draft, it's almost laughable to me, because there were guys who, look at Ryan Leaf, a guy who coming out, people thought he was going to be, it was him or Peyton Manning.
He's on the list. He's on the list. He's on the list
as quarterback. Really, is he? Yeah. I didn't see this list, but that doesn't surprise me, because
freak. Yeah. If
you think about Peyton Manning's skill set coming out of college, and now you're saying Josh Allen's on that level too, coming out of college. I mean, it's one thing to say you think they have the potential to be one of the greatest ever. It's another to say he was coming out of college a top 10 grade in terms of draft prospect. That I can't believe. I got to go trash.
Yeah. All right, Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, I go cash just because, a lot of the stuff's off the field, right? And a lot of people missed on that. And I think, is Mel Kiper really a scout guy? Did he play football? Who knows? We can have that conversation all day. But Josh has it all as far as, ability, right? If you watch the Wyoming tape, he literally is carrying the entire team, making these no-name receivers, stars out of nowhere. Won a bowl game for his team. A lot of heart there, right? So, and then the combine stuff, I mean, showing up, throwing the ball 80 yards. I mean, top 10, I don't know, ever stuff. Because Mel Kiper's been doing it a long time. Too.
Ever.
But, I mean, who else do you put in the top 10 here? It's Ryan Leaf, because we're talking physical ability, right? We're not talking, they're going to be a good NFL quarterback.
Peyton Manning.
We're just talking about pure
Aaron Rodgers.
Scouted talent.
Oh, man. But Josh, he has it all, right? He has the big arm, the athleticism, the good persona off the field. I mean, it's when you do break it down, I mean, there's a lot of questions about Aaron Rodgers coming to the league. There's a reason he went 22nd overall. Josh Allen was going to be a top 5 pick twice just on raw talent, raw ability, not even talent. So raw ability alone, I think Josh is top 10.
So you're going cash.
I'll go cash.
Well, I think this is a big time flex move by Kiper.
Yeah, it is.
Because he was one of the guys that
He said it.
that was like, hey, Josh Allen is that dude, and he pointed out like he's gonna you gotta give him some time to develop and so forth. But I'm not gonna lie, I looked at Josh Allen and it's like, yeah, he had some of the traits and some of the physical ability, but that doesn't necessarily always turn into a great quarterback. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't want the Bills to draft him. I'm not going to lie. I felt like they could have drafted Baker Mayfield. They could have. Now, we're not talking about what they are now. We're just talking about what they were then. And in my opinion, I didn't think the Bills needed to have time for a guy to develop and get better, right? But they figured out a way to make it work. Mm-hmm. And I guess that goes to show, maybe sitting in a room with these guys, going out to dinner with them,
right.
and all those kind of things that, kind of COVID's kind of taken away. Now we're doing Zoom meetings and so forth, where they don't get those 24 hours to kind of hang out in the facility, So I really do feel bad for GMs and owners who have to now you got Trevor Lawrence, right? He's the top guy, but it's harder for scouts to really evaluate a player right now.
And right, I get why you wanted a guy like Baker Mayfield. We've had this conversation a million times, but I think we underestimated the Bills' ability to develop a quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean,
they believed in it.
They gave us nothing before to say they could develop a quarterback all the way through. So there's a lot of good reasons to not want a project quarterback for the Bills. Yeah. I get that argument, but this isn't the same old Bills organization or coaching staff either.
A few points I want to make before we move on to the next topic for sure. One, Eric Brown was also in the Mel Kiper category of Josh Allen stan and will forever have bragging rights for saying that he loves Josh Allen and that is the guy he wanted from start to finish without a question. I think all Bills fans at that time knew we were going to draft a quarterback, so we were looking at quarterbacks in the draft. I looked at a couple of them. We all know I'm on record. I do not like Baker Mayfield. I did not like Baker Mayfield then. I was afraid he was the guy the Bills were going to draft because the talk was Sam Darnold might be the number 1 overall pick. And there was also talk that the Bills wanted Sam Darnold and we were going to trade up to where the Jets did and they jumped over us. So props to Eric for being one of those guys who can say he was my top 10 player ever and at least getting it right in terms of the fit for the Bills. Joe Marino said, he put up a comment. Sterling put up his comment there where he talked about his evaluation of Josh Allen coming into the draft. And there's a great episode of Locked On Bills that he did a week or two ago where he read back his original evaluation and went through it. And that's a great episode. I highly encourage people to go back and listen because it's interesting to see, hear what you thought initially and see where the guy has come 3 years later. And that's just a great podcast. That particular episode. He teaches you kind of how he goes through evaluating players, and I learned a lot from that. So thank you, Joe. But the bigger picture here is evaluating a quarterback, giving him a score, and saying he's one of the top 10 ever. If he would have said that year, I'd believe it. If he said that year, Josh Allen is one of the top 10 quarterbacks to ever enter the NFL draft in terms of grade, then I think all of us would have been floored at where he is now.
I don't think he was the only one either, right? Everyone's seen the, I think it was Rich Eisen, the sports science interview with Trent Dilfer and the other sports science guy. They said, hands down, Josh is the best they've ever had on the show and ever evaluated.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Yes. So that was going to be my last point was me. I'm not a scout. I don't know how to watch film and say, well, he's got the right arm angle or, whatever. His footwork needs a little work or something. But what I do know is, and I've learned from the Bills, is they love personality. They love who you are as a human being matters in this Buffalo Bills organization, just in terms of your mindset, not necessarily that you're clean cut and all that. That helps, but just being in the right mindset, wanting to improve, wanting to get better. Josh Allen has been that in spades from the beginning. And any interview you've ever heard from him, he is consistently that way versus seeing some of these guys like Baker, as I was saying earlier. That's why I hate Baker. You interview him, and he sounds like a douchebag. He sounds like a self-centered, I'm king of the world, don't try and tell me what to do kind of guy. And you interview a guy like Josh Rosen, and you hear flatline, nothing. Right? Yeah, I'm a quarterback. I throw the ball. Are you even listening to me? No personality?
There's a point you're missing here, okay? Like, if you look at for musicians, the best musicians, they've given their soul to the devil. Okay, like Jimi Hendrix, all those guys. Like quarterbacks are the same way. You can never depend on a drummer. Quarterback personalities, you just don't know what you're gonna get. Like Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, to name a few. I mean, everybody's not, Captain America like Tom Brady is, right? He's Captain. Everything he says is whatever. But like quarterbacks have personalities these days, and so yeah, Baker. If we're going to talk about questionable character, let's talk about why he was running away from the police, right? And throwing the middle finger up in an actual game, and just all the stupid antics that he had.
That's what I mean. He's just a douchebag. I don't like him.
If he got drafted by the Bills, I'd definitely be a huge fan.
We all
anyway.
He was the one player in that draft that I was like,
I got two things before you move on, Sterling.
All right, go ahead.
If Josh Allen's the top 10 as far as evaluation, right? Justin Herbert's got to be top 10 as well. Do you agree?
Justin Herbert kind of mirrors a lot of what Josh Allen's ability. Yeah,
arm strength.
Yeah, if you're not talking about, if minus his rookie season, like we don't know what happened. Yeah, Justin Herbert was the guy that you saw, and you're like, yeah, he's got it. He looks like he has all the tools, but we didn't know how it would translate to the next level.
I just don't see a way you can put Josh Allen in the top 10 and not have Justin Herbert a close behind or equal.
Yeah,
right. Other one is, where does Trevor Lawrence fall?
That's what I was going to bring up too. Is like
Kaiir had him 4th on his list.
4th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Some people coming out and saying that Zach Wilson's the better thrower.
Zach Wilson,
Chris Sims.
Yeah, he might be the better thrower of the football, but I think it's more than just that. I mean, he could throw off platform with the best of them. You look at Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and those guys. Matt Stafford. They make these crazy, throws that are just like.
Yeah, but he never had the athleticism like with his feet. He had some, but not like Josh Allen or Herbert even.
Yeah,
and Trevor Lawrence obviously is extremely mobile as well.
Andrew Luck is another one.
Andrew Luck, that's another.
Absolutely.
He was going to be savior of the world, kind of like Lawrence is now, right? Like he's the sure thing, guaranteed to be a big hit. So
I think there's reason for caution with Trevor Lawrence, and the fact that his coach is Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer's never coached in the NFL, and I don't know if Urban's personality type is going to fit well with the NFL culture. You already saw one of his guys left, and we don't know why, but it's just like it's not a good feel. It really depends on, like we saw in Buffalo, what they put around him. So I think the whole football community is kind of looking at, okay, well, how are you gonna shape this young quarterback? And there's so much pressure on him, being the number 1 overall pick, and just having that pedigree that he's coming into the NFL with. I think that's gonna it makes or breaks people. That doesn't mean when you're touted as one of the greatest college quarterbacks and scouted quarterbacks of all time, and you've never played a snap in the NFL, that's a lot of pressure.
Right.
So we're going to see how he holds up to that.
And there's only 10. I mean, it sounds like 8 of the 10 guys are within the last 4 years, right? So that's a tough list to say top 10 all time. It sounds like he's thinking more in recent memory, top 10. Right. Granted, sure, guys are getting better.
There's in the world and
right.
Michael Vick's got to be number 1, right? Top 5 at least.
Michael Vick wasn't even on the list, and he's athletic, but throwing the football wasn't. He wasn't great throwing the football.
That's where the raw ability gets weird, right? Because he had all the ability, in my opinion.
Right.
Anyway, never mind.
Okay, so let's keep it moving, shall we? Dawson Knox develop into a true tight end number 1. Can he? Will he? Cash or trash? Those of you who are watching the show. Let me know what you think about Dawson Knox being a true tight end 1 with these Buffalo Bills. Cash or trash? Eric, we'll start with you.
True number 1, I'm going to say trash. Just because I don't think this offense really caters to a true number 1 tight end, or at least they haven't shown that yet since Dayball's been here. The second part of that, he really hasn't answered the call to be a number 1. He definitely has the athleticism, and there's a lot of value with that. A guy like Dawson Knox is very important to this football team. I'm not trying to discredit him at all. But number 1 tight end, you have to block, you have to catch, you have to carry the team on 3rd and 10, and he's just not that guy. And I think he's proven that to us more than once. Can he get better? 100%. Will he be a premier tight end in the league? I don't think so. So I'll say trash.
Okay. All right.
Anthony, yikes. Well, if Joe Marino is still watching, he doesn't go a single episode anymore without saying how much he loves Dawson Knox and his ability and his potential and his skill set as a top 3 talented skill level tight end position player in the NFL. And one of the things he always touts that perfectly makes sense to me is that he's a tight end now, but he changed in college. And he, just like Josh Allen took time to develop because he didn't have as many reps as a guy like Baker Mayfield, Dawson Knox doesn't quite have the reps at tight end yet, and he's still learning. And we just saw an example with a guy like Thomas, who was in with the Washington football team. Logan Thomas with the Washington football team, the tight end. He did supreme this year. He turned into a tight end number 1 big time this year with his level of play. And Dawson Knox, if he's on a similar trajectory, will be in that position soon. So do I think he can become a tight end number 1? Cash, absolutely, all the way. There's no reason for him not to. He has the dropsies. He's got to fix that, right? We know he's got to be able to catch the ball in tough situations.
Yeah, for sure.
That's probably the number 1 thing he can improve on right now. But in terms of his speed, his agility, his toughness, he's got all the things you could want for a number 1 tight end, and to be at the level of Travis Kelce or, Darren Waller. So can he be that? Will he be that? I have to continue to think so. And to Eric's point of, well, we don't really feature the tight end yet. If we, 2 years from now, where are we going to be? If Beasley's no longer on the team, if all these receivers overturn, we might now rely on a guy like Knox more and more, and still have pieces around him, obviously, but he can grow into that position. Certainly the Bills believe in him. We saw that all year long. As soon as he was available, he was tight end number 1 without a question. Tyler Kroft, inactive. All the other guys not even getting snaps. It was Dawson Knox all the way. So I firmly believe that they will let him develop into a tight end number 1, and he can.
Well, he has improved his drops. He's 20% of his drops the year before last. He dropped 20% of all passes, only 9% last year. So that's a huge jump in the right direction. He's not featured in the offense, and there may be reasons for that, right? Is he reliable on third down? Just is the offense basically they have Cole Beasley on the field. They don't really need a tight end. Maybe that's some of it, but right now we haven't seen that from Dawson Knox.
I don't think Dable doesn't want to feature Dawson Knox in the tight end game. I just think Dawson is, like you guys mentioned, he's continually developing. Like when I look at Dawson Knox and watch his film, like in terms of catching the ball, like he can make the difficult catches, right? But it's the simple stuff. It's the concentration drops that do it for me. It's missed blocking assignments that kind of, and those I think that's something that you can teach. He can learn those things. I mean, this is a guy from Ole Miss. I mean, you had DK Metcalf. I mean, they were stacked at wide receiver, right? And you got old Dawson Knox over here, converted quarterback coming in, and he doesn't know what the hell's going on. So part of me wants to say absolutely he could turn into a tight end when he has the physical tools and traits to do it. But there's you see glimmers of hope. I just want to see more. Year 3 is a make or break year for me with Dawson Knox. I need to see something. I need to see a little more coming into year 3 than what you've shown thus far. So,
and we've talked about year 3 on this show with the Buffalo Bills before. That is the magic year. It seems to be year 3 is when players who they drafted develop and really take that leap and step up into the player we know they can be. So, yeah, I firmly believe he will take that next step this season if they do the right things around him. I was the one who did the Making the Case for Tight End episode in our Making the Case series. And one of the things I said is, if I'm them, I sign a veteran guy who can help teach Dawson Knox, whether that means going out and getting a Jonnu Smith for $8 million a year, or that means signing a guy like Dan Arnold, who I've been high on, for a lot cheaper than that, and still being a veteran guy who can teach him. Isn't necessarily a guy who needs to be featured, so Knox can still get the reps he needs, and possibly drafting somebody as well so that you have more security and depth at that position.
Yeah, we'll see. For what it's worth, the Bills kind of, kicked the tires on Greg Olsen when he was a free agent last season. So we don't know what the Bills really think about the tight end position. We've heard Brandon Beane come out and say that, the tight end position didn't really scare anybody this past season. They want more from that position. Tyler Kroft may not be coming back. He's a free agent right now, so he's not on the team. So we'll see what they decide to do as far as tight ends in the free agency and the draft. So be looking out for that, because I think there will be some movement to be made there. All right, so the reason why we gather here today is because the building of the offensive line. So we've with the Hoof Live and on our podcast, we've been kind of talking about every other position. We even did an episode on who the Bills could possibly draft at offensive line and so forth. I think Eric headed that one up. But when you look at, I was just looking over the roster, okay, and when I looked at, like, I had to keep refreshing, like, wait, where are all the offensive linemen? Like, and it is like, oh shit, there are none. So I looked at that and I go, okay, we got Deion Dawkins at left tackle. We know, right? He's making 11.3 is his cap hit this year. Left guard is Ike Bottker. Y'all know how I feel about Ike Bottker. I just don't like his name, but he was serviceable. He's not making much money. Mitch Morse, they just restructured. We talked about that at the beginning of the show. I think his cap hit is like $10.3 million. I'm not too sure, but it's probably somewhere around there. Now you got to put Cody Ford at right guard. Or it's right guard or right tackle. So I got Cody Ford at right guard, Ryan Bates at right tackle. So if Ryan Bates is your right tackle going into the 21 season, you got problems. And his backup is Trey Adams. Okay.
The practice squad guy.
Yeah. Big Trey Adams that, injury ridden. We just don't know what he's,
right.
A year under, the strength and conditioning with the Bills. I don't know. Has it been good? Has it been great? We don't know. So, and then you got Jordan Devy as a backup guard. That's your offensive lineman, people, right there. So when I look at that, I go, oh, hell no. You cannot, like, I know I get so caught up in, like, get a running back, get a tight end, get another wide receiver, give me more explosion offense. But I'm thinking, damn, like, yo, if we can't block, ain't none of that shit gonna work. It ain't gonna work. So I'm thinking, oh, damn, like, what are the Bills gonna do? What are they gonna do? So I've outlined some possibilities at tackle. I've outlined some possibilities at guard, and for that, some draft tackles and guards that the Bills can probably target and so forth. So before we even get to that, I want what do you guys? What's your opinion on the play of the offensive line this past season and moving forward?
Well, I think last year they faced a lot of adversity. Quentin Spain, that whole scenario to start the season off, right? We all thought he was a lockdown, starter at guard. Cody Ford's injury, Feliciano's injury early on, had to step in and handle that, and still won 13 games, right? So they deserve a ton of credit for their depth. I think McBean's strategy of getting players who are versatile, who can slide over and play guard or slide outside and play tackle. Feliciano obviously brought the center, right, covering Mitch Morse when he needed to. But there's a lot of value in that. And overall, I think they played great. But that was last season. There's definitely – I want to see improvement this season, especially in the run game.
Yeah.
And you got to bring somebody in for that, in my opinion.
Yeah, here's where I stand on the offensive line. As Eric said, pass protection, phenomenal. They did a great job this year. They should be commended for it. There were plenty of times that Josh Allen saved them, but also plenty of times where Josh Allen was literally counting his toes in the back, just waiting for somebody to get open, and had plenty of time to do so. Not so great in the run game. They did a great job of dealing with the injuries, the depth that McBean likes to bring in. But the guys you listed, Sterling, are exactly that to me. Depth, right? Not a lot of good starters on that team. They're great guys. I love to have Ike Bottker on my team. He's great security like this year. He came in, and he was a guy you knew he could play. Great. You trusted him to fill in, and he did well filling in. But is he the starter? Is he the guy you want to go into the season saying, this is our guy? Is he the one who's going to start opening holes for our running backs and be better in the run game, or, be serviceable in protecting Josh Allen? I don't know. So actually, this is a position, I know we're going to get to it in a second here, but this for me is the number one position that the Bills have to invest in free agency and money wise and get guys to bring in here who are proven to play this position, because how many times have we said protecting Josh Allen is the number one most important thing on this team?
For sure.
So you got to put up. And we know, as we said, that McBean likes to have their starters and depth guys behind them that can start. Well, right now we're the depth. We're not the starters other than, Dawkins, who's obviously cemented in at left tackle. So yeah, it's questionable moving forward, to say the least.
No, it's scary. It definitely is scary. And that's why re-signing Darrell Williams, you kind of got to do it. You need to do it, because when you look at the offensive tackles that are available via free agency, you're talking, look, you're not going to be able to afford Trent Williams. Okay, he's always going to be overpriced.
Money.
So Darrell Williams is the next best on the market tackle, right? And so market value for a tackle of what it's what, 12 to 15 million a season is what they're probably going to have to pay Darrell Williams. And look, the Bills haven't had a good right tackle in I don't know how long. It's been a hot minute. So we got a super chat here. Carl Toman, he says, if Elijah Vera Tucker, Trey Smith, Wyatt Davis, and Landon Dickerson are all on the board with your first selection, who do you take and why? Who do you take and why? So you guys want to answer? You want me to go with that? Let me go with that one. Yeah, you guys mind?
You go first. I'll go second.
Okay. So if Elijah Vera Tucker is on the docket at 30, I'm running to the table with him, because I feel like he's a guy that he can play multiple positions along the offensive line. Athletic profile, he's a beast. He's got fierce hands. I love the way he moves. Shuffles his feet. He engages with defensive linemen and dominates that way. That's how he wins. So I would take Elijah Vera Tucker hands down. But I do like Wyatt Davis. Landon Dickerson is one of my favorite offensive linemen in this draft. But Elijah Vera Tucker definitely has the highest ceiling. I think he's, probably him and Landon Dickerson are probably ready to go in terms of who you just mentioned on that list.
Yeah, I'd go Vera Tucker too, but I won't steal your thunder. I'll go Wyatt Davis in this scenario, just because, when we talk about what the Bills need to work on in the offensive line from last season to this season, they were top 5 in pass blocking, and they were bottom 5 in run blocking when you talk about win rate. And that's absolutely something the Bills need to develop. And Wyatt Davis, I think, is that guy. He comes in, he starts at right guard, which is a need for the Bills. He's a physical player. He can get better in the passing game, but primarily he's a mauler. And I think the Bills lack that on this offensive line, right? And I think that fills the void that they have. And let's get some Devin Singletary moving, right? At least
no.
The Bills should at least have the option. They should at least have the option to run the ball.
Right.
Wyatt Davis is the guy for that.
Okay, so it's funny that you mentioned Wyatt Davis, because when I watch him, it's just like he doesn't like. I need him to finish with more just ferociousness, and sometimes I think he gets away with these little chip blocks and these little side blocks, and it's like, man, like finish him off. So like when you do a test, watch Wyatt Davis, and then go watch Landon Dickerson. And Creed Humphrey, like these guys, they destroy people. I'm talking, they don't give a damn about the whistle. They are killing everybody. You know how they say, hide your kids, hide your wife, because everybody around here, like they are pancaking everybody, and they don't give two shits about you and what you got going on.
Creed Humphrey, he's pancaking Texas State. Like, come on,
dude. I'm just telling you right now, these guys, these guys are nasty. And so I just, when you bring up Wyatt Davis, I think he's a great guard. But I just like, man, I just wish I saw more of that on film. But Anthony, what do you got?
Well, first of all, if I'm drafting and these 4 guys are still available on the board at 30, I'm trading back. I'm like, great, we're getting one of these guys, but we're getting them in the second round, and we're getting more capital for it. But on a serious note, you're obviously saying which guy would we want the most. It's a tough call here, and I think it is with a lot of the offensive linemen in this draft, given that many of them didn't necessarily play in 2020. And if they did, how much do you judge that versus like a normal season? So I would be happy to take whichever one McDermott thinks is the best one, and it depends on, similar to what Sterling was saying, if they do not sign John Feliciano, there is a immediate need for some ferociousness on that line. And I think with any offensive line, you need that. Before with the Bills, it was Richie Incognito. If there was shit going down on the field, Richie Incognito would punch you in the face in a heartbeat.
Like a
right?
hitman or something.
He would knock people out. He was not afraid to get a penalty or whatever it took to defend his guys if he felt it was the right thing to do. And right now, John Feliciano is that guy. Somebody comes at Josh Allen, John Feliciano is in their face immediately, no matter what it costs, penalty or whatever. I'm defending my guy, right? So if the Bills lose John Feliciano, as much as I love Deion Dawkins, he's a captain of the team. He is similar to what Sterling was saying about some of the other guys on this list, that, he's not necessarily a ferocious guy. He's just good at what he does and does it every play. So we need some ferociousness on that field. So I'd say give me a Landon Dickerson or somebody else who is going to give me some of that extra oomph other than just, hey, he's the best guy on the board.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's kind of shift it here. So, okay, free agent tackles, you're probably not going to outside of Darrell Williams. Get Darrell Williams. Let's pretend we signed Darrell Williams. Okay. So now we have issues at guard, right? Do we want to see Ike Bacher be a starting guard? Do we feel like he can do that? I would say in a pinch. I think he's good in a pinch. I don't know. I don't like his long-term prospects at guard. So I'm definitely looking at guard. I'm looking at a guard. Let's see. We need two tackles and another guard is probably what we really need.
At least.
So I think
the big question is where's Cody Ford play? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then is the need, because this team's all about versatility, is the need going to be guard/center or guard/tackle?
Well, first to answer your question,
That's the question.
Okay, so I think Cody Ford's best position's probably at left guard. Yeah. Now, the Bills, I think they still view him as a tackle. Okay. And Brandon Beede even said that, Darrell Williams played so well that they kind of had to put Darrell Williams at right tackle, right? And that's why Cody Ford played guard this season when he got hurt and so forth. But his best position probably is guard. But they did draft him to be a tackle, so we're going to see. Does he change his philosophy and where he really thinks of Ford or not? I mean, he just due to need, he may just have to play guard.
Right, and if they do re-sign Darrell Williams, I think he'll be at left guard as well. So then the need, I think, is, are we signing John Feliciano?
That's the biggest question right now.
I don't think you need to. I don't think,
because he's that swing center. If you get rid of him, then your swing center is Ryan Bates.
Ryan Bates could play all five positions.
I mean, yeah, but is that the guy you want in there at center if Mitch Morse goes out for a couple series or half a game or whatever it may be with his concussion issues? I mean, I don't know. We don't know what Ryan Bates is because he's never really seen extended playing time.
There's a guy in the draft that'll be there right at 30 for you. Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame. That guy and Landon Dickerson. Those guys can play
Eichenberg's a left tackle.
But he can play. He could play multiple positions.
Tackle.
He could play multiple positions, right? So, yeah. and then who was I just mentioning? Landon Dickerson. Landon Dickerson could do a lot on the offensive line. He's kind of positionless there. So, you don't have to pay John Feliciano $5 to $8 million to come back. I mean, he's average. Like I think we need a little bit more from. I love the fact that he's versatile. He could play guard, he could play center, but I think we can get that a lot cheaper, if you ask me.
Yes,
it's a lot cheaper. So I think your priority is Darrell Williams, right? I think you need to sign a veteran. You either to draft or sign a veteran guard and a swing tackle, right?
Yes.
So if you want to go get Richie Incognito for another year as a stopgap, I would love that. Here are some guards that are available via free agency. Joe Tooney, you're not going to be able to pay for.
No.
Gabe Jackson, you could probably swing that.
Oh yeah, recently released.
How about Ryan Groy? Did we forget about Ryan Groy in the time he spent here in Buffalo? He was serviceable. He was that backup swing guy. In a pinch, you could throw Ryan Groy in there. He's not going to cost you a ton of money, but you could throw him in there. You need to tackle. Left guard, we're going to give it to Cody Ford. We got it. He's a second round pick. We got to see what he's going to do. So we're going to give it to him. Mitch Morse is our center. Now, right guard, right tackle. We signed Darrell Williams. We got right tackle. So in the draft, who are we looking at? for right guard?
And back
Or
to the
free
thing,
agency.
if
Or
you're going guard,
go ahead.
if you're replacing Feliciano at right guard, which I think is a good way to do it, it'd be nice to have that experience at center as well. Creed Humphrey's a guy you look at for that, right?
Okay, so you go to Creed Humphrey.
On the flip side of that, real quick, Alex Leatherwood has played all the positions except for center, and he's been at Alabama for 4 years. He's a senior. I'm a big fan of him, and a lot of guys are down. But I like the versatility. I think Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane will like the versatility of Alex Leatherwood and playing in the SEC. I think he's going to be higher on their board than most guys, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like it.
Yep.
There's one thing that we haven't mentioned, though, and that is how McBean has put together their offensive line for the last few years.
Okay.
There are guys to be had, right? There's been a lot of cuts recently, especially at the guard position, not so much the tackle position. The guard position has been locked up. The tackle position, you might argue that Darrell Williams is making money by the day because his value is going up with these guys who have been franchise tagged and et cetera. So hopefully we can get Darrell Williams back. But if we can't, that's going to leave a big hole on that right side. And the one thing that McBean always does, and I guarantee you they will do that again this year, is find those guys that they think are either coming off an injury and can do well or have been underperforming for certain reasons, and they've scouted them and said, we know what we can do to make you better and get the best out of you, and sign those guys for cheap money. So that way you might be able to get both a tackle and a guard for $2.5 million in 1 year, just like you did with Darrell Williams, and have them come in and compete with whichever position you choose to draft best on your board at the time they're available, right? Be that in the first round, second round. One thing that I think we're all on the same page, they're drafting somebody, and they're drafting them early, meaning the first 3 rounds. They need offensive line. Offensive linemen will get drafted no matter what happens in terms of who they sign, long-term or short-term. They need replacement guys available. So I think it's going to be veterans. I mean, take your pick. It's always shocking who they pick, right? How many people thought Darrell Williams was going to come in here and be what he was this year? Not many. That's why he got a $2.5 million contract.
Did I not say that he was going to come in and ball out? I was one of the guys who was like, hey, he was playing out of position. I'm telling you, right tackle, he's going to be.
I meant at the NFL, the GMs, right? The guys who were offering him contracts said, hey, he's not worth $3 million. How many guys are regretting that now, right? So, I mean, he clearly played well above that this year and is going to get paid rightfully so because of that. So the Bills will find those guys and say, oh, okay, you want a shot? Come prove it. Come show us what you can do and compete with said rookie who we draft. Compete with Cody Ford as for right tackle, and then if not, bump one of them over to guard or whatever it may be. That's just the way it worked out last year. So there's going to be signings. We're going to need to draft a guy regardless. There's a lot of movement. As you said, Sterling, it's not pretty up there right now. And do we want Ike Bacher to be a starter? Maybe, but what I'd feel a lot more comfortable if they brought in somebody who's legitimate competition and said, now you both need to raise your game and you both need to play at your best of your ability and see who's the guy, just like they did with Darrell Williams.
Yeah, I'm not taking a chance with Ike Bacher as my left guard, and the idea of signing, street free agents to compete for a starting job, that to me sounds like death. I don't want to risk the maturation and growth and development of Josh Allen having to run around all the time because he's got no protection on the right side. So I think if you're Brandon Beane, again, I'm going to reiterate this again, pull up the Brinks truck and pay Darrell Williams what he's worth. Just go ahead and just suck it up, right? I'd rather have left tackle center and right tackle sorted out, right? I can, if we had to, Ike Bacher could start, but we could draft. I think you're gonna have better value getting a guard or one of the guards you like better than a tackle. Tackles tend to go early in the draft. So, and we know there is a shortage of good linemen in the NFL right now. So I think, these 5 tackles, Tevin Jenkins, I mean, that he's a beast. Jalen Mayfield, we got Samuel Cosme from Texas, Dylan Radins and Liam Metchenberg. Those are the guys that the Bills may have an opportunity to get if they stay put at number 30, right? But again, that's not guaranteed. But I think when you look at guards, I mean, I have Elijah Vera Tucker, Wyatt Davis, Creed Humphrey, Landon Dickerson, Trey Smith,
lots of guys,
and the Trey Hill from Georgia. maybe in the second, some of these guys are second and even third round that you can you can get, and these are quality offensive linemen coming in. I think that is the depth of this draft this year is the offensive line. So that doesn't mean you wait to get your guy, right? I think if your guy is there, I think you just need to get him. Like, don't bullshit and try to be cute and fancy. That's what New England did years ago when they trading back. Like, get your guy. I think the trenches is how we lost. Right, the trenches is how we lost the AFC Championship game. Offensive line, defensive line, we didn't get it done. They need to fortify those moving forward this year in the draft and free agency. So we're going to see what happens. Eric, you got any closing thoughts on that?
Yeah, let's talk about Cody Ford for a second, because we keep saying that Darrell Williams is automatic to be re-signed, and I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, he could get big money. I mean, Spot Trek has him at about 8.5.
I think they want Cody Ford at right tackle solidified. He's Brandon Beane's guy. They've already chose him over Quentin Spain. They had that debacle during the season where Cody Ford, rather than putting him on the bench, they cut who we thought was one of the better, more solidified positions on the line in Quentin Spain at left guard. And they chose Cody Ford over him. And the details of that we're never going to know. Did he actually beat him out straight up? Is that how Cody Ford got there? Or is it Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott's guy? And I think it's B. So same scenario here. Rather than sign somebody who earned the right to test free agency and probably will get paid. He was the highest graded PFF player on this team last year on the offensive line. But I think they choose Cody Ford.
So you are going on record saying that Cody Ford should be the right tackle.
I think he'll be the starting right tackle next season. And if I'm wrong, I'll be okay with that.
No, hey, I appreciate you going out there.
That's what my gut is telling me.
I'll tell you why I think that's a bad idea. I think that's worst case scenario for the Bills. I think even if Darrell Williams leaves, you have to find somebody to come in and be that guy, because we've moved Cody Ford how many positions, how many times now, and we saw him at left tackle. Or at right tackle. And guess what? It wasn't very good. That's why Darrell Williams was the right tackle, and he got moved to guard. He got beat out. And to me, I mean, that just screams, just keep him in guard. Just keep him there. Let him develop there. Let him be a good guard. Let him be a secure guard. Hey, we're comfortable there now. We got Cody Ford. We're confident in this kid. Don't move him back to tackle and then mess the whole situation up again, because it's going to get ugly.
Yeah,
something to think about.
You know what? Look, Brandon Beane loves his draft picks, and that's something that we cannot deny. He loves his draft picks. I don't agree with Eric, but I think he has a point.
Yeah,
in the fact that they drafted Cody Ford to be the right tackle. Okay, he's on a rookie deal. And again, the Bills have shown that they are very interested in guys that have room to develop, right? And he definitely had coming in. He had room to develop. So the right side of the line is new to him. I mean, he didn't play a lot of right tackle in college. He played mostly left tackle. So, and we're definitely not moving Deion Dawkins from left tackle, right? So, but they did draft him to be a tackle, right? So, but again, Darrell Williams outplayed him, and he made right tackle. And now this is a COVID year, so there wasn't, they didn't get a real training camp, and they didn't get OTAs and so forth. So we don't know what Cody Ford is going to come blossom into, or if he gets better, or does he kind of stay the same? We don't know that yet. But the Bills probably have a better understanding what they think Cody Ford is moving forward. Okay, and so that's up to them. But I agree. Brinks truck Darrell Williams, put Cody Ford's ass at guard, and let's get another. Sign a guy in free agency that's decent, that could starting caliber, and then draft another guy. Because look, man, I think you can be cute in a lot of areas. You could be cute at wide receiver. You could be cute on the defensive end, on the backside, right? But I think offensive line and defensive line, that's where championships are born with those. And then your quarterback obviously is the most important position on the field. Whatever they're planning to do, they need to do it now, because it's time. It is time. So who we got in here? Let's see. He says Bills won't spend $30 million a year at our tackle spots. The hell they won't. Look, Deion Dawkins is at 11.3 this year, so they're not paying $20 million for another tackle, but they're gonna have to pay close. I mean, right now on the books for what they have on their roster, the complete offensive line, not just tackles, they're like 25 million. That's the cap hit this year. That's not a lot. So they have room. Look, they have room to kind of make things happen, and they're going to have to. I mean, you can't, again, you don't have an offensive line, you ain't got nothing. So Jamal Colleton says, since the Bills got Morse, would you sign Mongo to be the backup center and swing guard? I don't think you need to spend that. Again, I said it earlier. You don't need to spend that much money on Feliciano because we know what he is. Now, the Bills may love him and he's cool with Josh Allen and everything, but for what he's gonna want, look, $6 to $8 million. I think you can get better quality for that price than Feliciano.
That was going to be my question. I was just going to ask you what you think too much money is, but 6 to 8 does seem a little high to me. $4 million, I'd give him 3 years, $12 million. Sure,
for him,
work it away and give him that. Yeah, so you can work the cap this year and still have some flexibility.
Maybe
and
throw an option in there.
Exactly, right. And he's already said he wants to stay in Buffalo, so that gives us some leverage. Gives the team some leverage for sure. But you never know. We just said there's a lot of guards out there, but if a team offers him $7 million, the Bills are going to say, look, we think there's better options out there. I'm sorry. So, I mean, of the guys likely to stay, I think it's more likely that he stays in Buffalo for around $4 to $5 million than it is for him to walk away at that price. But if he gets $6 to $8 million, it swings the other way. There's definitely a hard cap number that they're willing to pay him.
Yeah. And again, nobody's wrong. Like we don't know, right? Mm-hmm. But it's fun to speculate and have an opinion. Like, yeah, if you think Cody Ford is your right tackle, then you pencil him in on your damn roster, right?
Not looking
you
good.
You put him in on Madden and inflate his ratings or something.
That's right? The scariest. That's the worst case scenario for me. That's the scariest scenario is if he's starting a tackle. I do not want that. Yeah.
No,
we're so high on Dawson Knox in year 3. What about Cody Ford in year 3?
Mm-hmm.
Could he come back and have a strong year? I mean,
sure.
I mean, lots
Keep
of time
him
to think
guard.
about it with his injury. But
I think you're taking a gamble. I think it's a big bet.
He's an athletic tackle.
Yeah.
I think his challenges are maybe the mental part of the game, so that fits guard a little better. I think tackle's a little harder to play. But, I mean, this is a good opportunity for the Bills to save a little money, and I don't think it's the worst option out there to put Cody Ford at right tackle.
So let's go back to let's watch Cody Ford at right tackle, shall we? Because Cody Ford at right tackle, his feet were stuck in concrete. He cannot move laterally. He just cannot. And I don't think he's really good at the point of attack using his hands, right? So you had his problem with speed rushers. He could not hang with speed rushers. And I think, a lot of defensive ends now are a lot, they're smaller, quicker, quick twitch. First step. He got owned. Mm-hmm. So that just from what we've seen thus far, I just think my opinion is I think he's best suited to guard.
Yes.
I don't think he's going to improve his foot speed. I think you are what you are. You're not going to improve your foot speed.
Sure. And I think the talent, the skill set you just listed, the issues you just listed work better in the guard position than they do at the tackle position where you're the outside. There's nobody next to you. Mm-hmm. So if you have somebody next to you, some of those things can be covered up a little bit by working with whoever your tackle is and whoever's inside of you. We know Morse is on the inside, but whoever the tackle may be that Williams or somebody else. So that's a big thing with Ford too. We saw him play at tackle, and the thing was he was not that great there, period. He just wasn't. We saw him play at guard, and he was better, but he was still replaceable level. He needs to take another step this year, and the Buffalo Bills are depending on him to take another step. Otherwise, we got a guy like Ike Bacher and Ryan Bates who are going to be right there in his spot playing just as mediocre, because mediocre ain't going to cut it for Cody Ford. You have to be able to show that you can take that next step.
Well, this is kind of for you, Eric. So maybe he just had to think a little extra harder at right tackle, right? Maybe he's best suited on the left sideline, not a left tackle.
It's hard to compare because we didn't see him there last year, and the time that we did see him at right tackle was his rookie season. Put anybody in their rookie season in an NFL uniform, like they're going to struggle. So it's hard to evaluate that. You're basically going off, off what you've seen at left guard this previous year and what you think he could be based on, his athleticism coming into the NFL,
Yeah.
So, I mean, of the players on the team, I think he's there's a lot of pressure on him over a lot of other players.
Hold on. Before we even get to Craig's comment, dog. Apex, you better put some respect on my name, son. Listen, I'm not saying you can't get better. But what I'm saying is, if you are slow, right, shuffling your feet, defending quicker defenders, I'm not sure how much faster you are going to get at right tackle. I just don't see it. You find the tackle. Please find the tackle. Find the issues that like Cody Ford has, and then you tell me what their career turned out to be. Because if you can find me people, I will change my opinion. But as of right now, Cody Ford, it just from the film, it looks better at guard than it does tackle. We don't need to see him in space. He's going to get Josh Allen destroyed. Just look at the Houston playoff game. I know he was a rookie, but he was out there, and it ain't nobody else's fault but ours. And that's why he didn't play right tackle, because he's not good enough. Yeah. And that's okay. But I appreciate you. But put some respect on my name, son. And Craig, are you in Denver? He says, so Sterling in Denver's best real estate agent.
He's saying I look like a real estate agent tonight. He's saying I look like the real estate agent. Let me tell you, I wish I was a Denver real estate agent for what the houses go around here, man. That commission, I'd be living it up for sure. And the houses sell.
Anthony, get you set up with a low interest rate today, man.
That's right.
Today, buddy.
I will definitely sell your house if you want me to. I'm glad to.
And do you include a housewarming gift?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Whatever you want for that price.
He's your agent. He's your agent.
$500,000 bottom line at the lowest. Yeah.
You call Darrell Williams, please get him a low.
Exactly. Yeah.
Please. Absolutely.
Not if he's coming to Denver. I don't know.
Absolutely.
In Buffalo, maybe.
Anyways, man. Oh, we got here's Apex again.
Coming in hot.
Hey, we're just giving you shit, bro. He says Dawkins. Everyone said the same thing about him. Okay, so Dawkins was a lot better. He was a lot more finished product than Cody Ford is. After Dawkins' first year, we all agree. Most of the Bills community agreed he's the left tackle and he's pretty damn good. He may have gotten beat a few times, but if you look at pass rush rates against Cody Ford at right tackle, it's not pretty. And you go back and you watch the film and you see why he was struggling and having issues. Now, I will go on your, and say, well, maybe it's just because he's on the right side. He didn't have to play right side as much in college and, so forth. But we can only go by from what we have. The tape that we see is what we can go by. And so right now, like I said, his best position is guard. I'm sticking to it. Go
with the facts. I like it.
I'm going with tonight. I'm going with the facts, man.
Go with the facts.
I ain't going with no hope.
What do we know?
I ain't going with no hope.
We hope he's able to take that next step this season. Everybody's on the same page with that.
Hey, I'm from the South. I'm from the South, and they say hope don't float, baby. Hope don't float. All right. So, and I can't play with the offensive line, man. It's just too important. But anyway, man, there's so much that we can continue to talk about. And I appreciate everybody in the chat, man. Make sure that you guys follow, like, subscribe to Hoof Live, the Hoof Podcast on the Cover One Network. Again, Cover One, man, we're bringing it every single week. We got some really cool, exciting things coming up for free agency and the draft and so forth. So you want to keep it locked here next week. We got Joe Marino coming on the show. So you guys saw Joe was commenting in here. Joe Marino is locked on Bills. We're going to have him on the show. But in the meantime, man, you guys 10 toes down. And we're going to see you guys next week.
Go Bills.